Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my Fishroom tour. If you haven't seen part 1, please click the link in the description. And without further ado, let's go ahead and finish this up. So here are my jellies. I just fed them a big ol' helping of fresh baby brine. I actually may have overfed them a little. It's okay though, anything they don't eat I pull out. And if they eat too much, they just reject it out and then I pull it right out. As you can see, this one is big, that guy's big, and unfortunately, this little guy is tiny. You can barely see him right now, he's kind of upside down. But a while back there was a problem, something got into here, and I almost lost all of them. They got down to smaller than that and were falling apart, and I thought I was gonna completely lose them. But these guys are really resilient and were able to make a comeback. Unfortunately, while they were doing so, they can turn inside out inverted like an umbrella does. And the little guy has been stuck inverted. These guys were able to pop back out once the water quality was fixed and everything. But this little guy hasn't. And I've been feeding him with the pipette and keeping him alive. And you can't really tell now because he's kind of just in a lump, but I'll try and splice in some footage later of him moving around. He's still able to pulse, but it's been quite a hassle trying to keep him alive, but not giving up on him yet. I also have a full video of how I got these guys, and I have it all edited together, but never released it. Because I also want to do a full video on caring for these guys and what it requires. But let me know in the comments if you want to see that. And I was thinking possibly releasing in a two-parter, one of how I got these guys, which involves a movie set, and the other would be caring for these guys. So let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. So to start down here, got my dwarf rainbows, some forcata rainbows, and a few other species I can't remember at the moment. And my Apistogramma agassizii gold fire. This is the male, and there are 2 females in here. Please excuse the smudgy algae and such on the glass. I haven't cleaned this tank, but there's usually, the females like to hide under here, or they're probably in the cave or behind the tall standing rocks. They tend to hide from the male because I think I got kind of a jerk of a male. I ended up getting another female because they wouldn't mate, and both females now avoid him, so something's up with this guy, I think. But yeah. Then next door, in here I have the panda guppies, which I'm phasing out. I've gotten a little bored of breeding them. There isn't a high demand for them. So within the next week or 2, I'm gonna sell the last of these off. But in here I have introduced, let's see, there's the male of a electric blue balloon ram. That's the male. The much larger female is hiding somewhere in here right now. Again, these are 2 tanks I really need to clean. I've been keeping up with the water changes every few days. I never go more than a week without a water change in my fish room. But this one I haven't really scrubbed anything. As well, you see right here, that is a zebra loach, also known as, shoot, what is it? It's 6-stripe. There's a few different names for them, but I just picked up a few of them recently. And then one more over is this little Blackwater tank I've been having up and running for a while now. As you can see, there's quite a few cherry shrimp, some fire reds, some more strawberry rasboras, And I've also recently introduced some chili rasboras, which are a lot skinnier and have a bit different design, that are in here with them. Also, originally I'd set this up for licorice gouramis, which is why I have the little huts and hiding places. But anyone who keeps licorice gouramis, is there one back there, would know they hide a lot. Licorice gouramis are such a skittish type of fish that I rarely ever see them. So, I mean, I'm sure they're still in here. I've never seen any bodies. And a lot of times when doing water changes, I'll see them hiding underneath the filter. But for the most part, they just hide a lot. So, you know, can't really recommend them as a fun fish to keep. Maybe other people have had different experiences, but for me, they hide like crazy. But everybody else in here seems to be having a good time, which these are all fish I added in, trying to make it so that the licorice gouramis would feel comfortable enough to come out, but that didn't work. We normally call them dither fish, fish that kind of clear the way for other fish to feel comfortable. But yeah. Now on to this kind of double-decker fish tank thing going here. Over here, it's a bit of a community tank. For the most part, I've been breeding lots of least killies in here, as you can see, and some neons that have just been kind of hanging out in here. As well, there are some ember tetras. Sorry about that. Some ember tetras, but the main setup for this is all about, let's see, where are they? I have some dwarf cichlids in here. Sorry, let me try and find them. Kind of hiding in there. They have a very beautiful kind of rainbow color to their tails and parts of their body. As you can see, they've also just, I had to film this extra clip in because I couldn't find them the day I was filming, and this is the next day, and they've dug out this big crater here, which with dwarf cichlids and a lot of larger cichlids too usually means they're getting ready to spawn. So I think, because that's a female right there, I believe. So I'm hoping I'm gonna have some babies of them. There's the male, I think. So hopefully that's the pair that's breeding. Sorry I couldn't get any better shots, but I don't really want to disturb them too much. And then below, down here, I moved all of my guppies, the cobra guppies that I had been breeding in the larger tank over there, which actually I haven't shown yet, but I moved them all over here. And there's also a couple peacock gudgeons and some cories hidden down there. But those of you who were watching earlier videos may recognize this as what used to be my Fahaka Puffer's tank when he was really little. And unfortunately I've had to home him in a friend's tank currently because he's too big for this and the other tank that I had moved him up to. And I just didn't have the room for his new tank at the moment, so he's at a friend's house who is holding him for now in a tank that's more fitted to his size. So he will be back. I love that little guy. And speaking of puffers, it's the perfect gateway to move over to these tanks. So here we are at this tank, and I apologize again, there's a bit of algae here. I was gonna clean all these tanks up, but it's been so long since I put out a video that I decided to just show you how my tanks are right now and not try and look all special for the internet. But if you see in here, this little guy is my dentai puffer. And he is definitely one of my favorites at the moment. I mean, all my fish are my favorites, but this guy is something special. If you haven't seen, I put out a video earlier about a couple weeks ago about how I originally got him. But he is also now in here. I was instructed by the breeder that ditherfish do quite well to give them the confidence to come out. So what I chose to put in as a ditherfish are these rainbow shiners. These guys are a little bigger than most ditherfish, but these guys, well, right now their colors aren't showing too well, but as they grow, they're gonna be more colorful and more interesting of fish. But like I said, their main thing is to keep him comfortable as well. There are a bunch of cories in here, a bunch of panda and stirby cories. Let's see if we can find some of them. Got lots of little hiding places. Here's a stirby. There are also 2 clown loaches in here that I've been raising up. But again, the main attraction of the tank, let's see where he is, would be the dentai puffer, which likes to hide kinda in the plants, which is why I've way overplanted this little area. One more fish that's also in here is this clouded archer. I originally brought him in because he was sick. I had him in another tank and nursed him back to health. And he's currently in here because he's a friendly little guy. But yeah. So I just came over here to film my Philippine blue angels, and it turns out they mated. I never even saw the eggs, but there's all these babies all over. Uh-oh, I think somebody's trying to eat them. So let me pause this and get these guys out to safety, because there are a bunch of other fish in here which will eat them. Okay, that was a bit of a surprise, and they're still a little aggressive, and now I kind of feel bad. I always feel bad when I have to separate the parents from the babies, but in this tank there are plenty of other fish, and given the size of the tank, those babies probably wouldn't have lasted much longer. That or the parents would have killed the other fish in here in defense. I had noticed earlier, just when walking past, that this other male had been, pushed back into here, which the angels don't normally go into that corner. And I had originally filmed this last part the other day when I was filming all the other tanks, and I had noticed some of the other fish were really stressed out and their colors were off. You can see I have some African butterfly fish, which are just in here temporarily as I'm about to move them over to the big tank in my brother's house. But there's also another fish in here, which if I can get him out, I will show him in a moment, and his colors were off. And it makes sense now because these guys were probably bullying the other fish to keep them away from wherever their eggs had been hidden. And now I need to clear up another tank to move all these babies into and start feeding them. That was quite a surprise. Alright, so now that I've gotten, these guys are calming down a bit, and I found out where I have a green spotted puffer in here, which isn't something you'd normally ever see with angelfish, but I raised him since he was a little baby in here. And now he's hiding under this log because he was scared from the angels. But when I filmed the other day, he was really dark in his underbelly, which only happens, there he is. And there's a Synodontis petricola, 2 of them. But the darkness in the underbelly only happens when they're stressed, and he's almost never stressed in here. And he's extremely friendly with all the other fish, which is rare for green spotted puffers. And I couldn't figure out what it was, but now I definitely know it was because these two had eggs somewhere and were bullying everyone. As you can see, here's my green spotted puffer. At the moment, he's a little discolored. I assure you this isn't a normal thing. He changes color often, but his underbelly is usually a little whiter than that. Anyway, right next door, which is kind of a mess, but this is my purple Moscow tank, as you can see. These guys have been grown quite nicely. Again, this is next on the list to be cleaned, and as you can see down here, I have a little female of the Apistogramma cockatoides double or triple red. I moved a couple of the females into here originally after quarantine, and I'm probably going to move them back over to another tank, but they've been just fine in here. And yeah, not much to say about this tank, but beneath it, oops, sorry, if I slide this out of the way, bucket of water down here. This, I just moved the light off of a little earlier, but is another guppy tank. You can barely see in there, but there are a few different kinds of koi guppies, and I've mixed together some Japanese guppies, and that's just kind of playing around with different guppies to see what kind of mixed breed I can come out with. Last but not least, in this tank right here is my little amphibian tank. I've got 2 firebelly toads. This is the regular one, he doesn't have a name. But Lefty is somewhere else in here, who I adopted him from Petco because I was scared they were going to get rid of him. He was born without an arm, missing his right arm, so hence the Lefty name. And then as well, there is a bullfrog in here. I raised this guy up from a tadpole from the store who hadn't been doing so well. Brought him home, raised him up, and crazy enough, once he became a bullfrog, at one point I pulled him out and he escaped in here. And I had to chase him down, and it was almost 2 days before I found him, but it was so damp in here. Luckily he was able to recover. I ended up having to hand feed him for about a week before he made full recovery. So look after your amphibians, reptiles, and fish. Make sure you don't make mistakes like that. And there are some other amphibians in here. Let's see if I can get a better shot. Okay, so there is Lefty in all of his left-armed glory, with his little right stump. Let's see, where else is everybody? There's the bullfrog still just chilling. There should be some floating frogs around here. Well, yeah, not the most interesting of all the tanks, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. So down here I have my incredibly cute turtle tank. There's my red ear pond slider, and right there is not a leaf, but a mata turtle. And as I stated before, those of you who follow my Instagram spot a lot of really neat stuff, like when this guy eats, he just opens his mouth and will suck in all the fish around him and just swallow them whole. Quite an amazing creature. And of course, the little red ear pond slider's a cutie. I originally got him with one other one, two little babies, but found a new home for the other baby. So this guy's just here hanging with the Mata Mata. Alright, so while filming my update, my brother gave me a call, and I wanted to do an update over here on the 150 as well, but he gave me a call about these two. As you can see, they're paired off over here, and they just laid all these eggs. And then on my way over here to come check them out and probably take them and raise them up back at my house, he called me again and was like, hey, these guys just paired off and laid a ton of eggs as well. So now we've got two sets of eggs here, and I have all those babies back at home from the first set of eggs. So we're still figuring out what to do about that. I'm probably gonna take these ones home, and since I don't think I'm up for right now raising probably 500 or 600 babies at once. So might leave these here just to see if a pair is able to keep the babies and not have issues, but I don't think they'll be able to do that with how many fish are in here. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. So while I'm here and harvesting the eggs, definitely need to hook up a new filter to this because the current filter isn't doing that great of a job. It's a little too small for this tank, I think. It's been holding up well for a while, but I keep having to clean it out and it's cloudy. But aside from that, this little Betta vase that my brother had me set up for him is coming along pretty well. Got some Physidens fontanus growing up in here with some Christmas moss behind it. And let's see, some Pogostemon, and got a nice little Dumbo Betta. He's just hanging out in here having a good time. And got some Monte Carlo growing in the bottom that I'm hoping will carpet. I know a lot of people are gonna complain about the size of the tank. This is what my brother was going with, so I thought I'd make it as big and comfortable as possible. It is three gallons. So I mean, you know, it could be smaller, but take good care of him, and the room's heated enough. He's got a nice temperature going, and definitely a happy, well-fed Betta.